Hey, what up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here today. Rumors in the air that Jonathan Coachman from ESPN will be making his return to WWE at SummerSlam 2015. This is something that honestly the coach has been pushing for himself with his Twitter account for a good couple of months. I remember him putting out the tweet basically saying, if you want to see me back in WWE, make sure you let ESPN know. I thought that maybe, with all of the coverage that ESPN gave WrestleMania 31 by putting all of the highlights and all of the match results of like Daniel Bryan, The Undertaker, Seth Rollins, on SportsCenter the night of WrestleMania 31. I thought that was a real big deal. I remember sitting in our hotel, looking from the second story down to where the general meeting area is downstairs, where some people were drinking and they had the television on the ESPN, that I just was like blown away. I would never think that ESPN SportsCenter would be showing highlights of WrestleMania. I know that the last time I can remember them doing this was like when Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone, or maybe even Jay Leno, when WCW was doing all the celebrity gimmicks of bringing people in like this, they would sort of put that over because it was sort of like in pop culture at that time, especially the match that featured Karl Malone and DDP going up against Hogan and Dennis Rodman. But Daniel Bryan winning a ladder match, Seth Rollins cashing in the Money in the Bank, them having to explain what the hell that was, and winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is sort of a different deal. But Coach coming back, he's coming back with a lot of credibility. He's not really that jokeable, sort of push-around character that he once was. He's really transformed. I know that when he left WWE to go to ESPN, honestly, I really didn't think that he was going to last. But he really has become one of their A-list guys, doing a lot of the big sports centers that are on like during prime time. He's not like one of the guys that are pushed into like the after midnight hour or something like that. He really has became a fan favorite there. So I don't know if he can come back. Will ESPN be the guy where basically DX pulls his pants down and spray paints on his ass? That's sort of the last memory I can remember of Coachman back in the day. But Coach always has a place in my heart. He was a pretty good commentator. He wasn't great. I think the highlight of him when he was running Monday Night Raw is sort of like that general manager character. But if he can bring any sort of good publicity to SummerSlam, I will welcome it. I would love to see ESPN highlighting what's going on in WWE. They had the E60 series, do the segment on behind the scenes at NXT, showing Triple H, the Booker, showing Adam Rose, Xavier Woods, as real people, and instead of just the character that they're portrayed on television, and giving us a behind the scenes look at what these guys do during their real life, when they're not inside of the ring, and what went into the characters that built them up as the superstars that we see today being moved up to the main roster. I don't really know what Adam Rose is doing. I've heard a million rumors about him either staying as Adam Rose, becoming a tag team with Brad Maddox as Beef Mode, joining the Wyatts. So he's sort of lost right now. But Xavier Woods is really performing at the top of his game as a wrestler/manager in the New Day. So you could sort of tip their hat to ESPN for helping them get that along. But we'll have to see what comes down with this. Maybe they can portray Coachman during the show like he's running the panel. Maybe like having go to him and get scoops about what's going on in the back. Maybe he hosts the Legends panel, talking with like Booker T and I don't know, Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, whoever the hell they bring in to talk about things like that. And maybe it gives it more of a Sports Center-ish ESPN feel. So we'll see what goes down with that. Coachman returning at SummerSlam to WWE. With WWE moving to more of a WrestleMania-like pace for SummerSlam, ESPN has picked up coverage of WWE this week. And this morning we had Brock Lesnar appearing on a whole bunch of shows. Mike and Mike in the Morning, Sports Center, various podcasts. Anybody that had a chance to get Brock Lesnar on the air today, he was on the air. And you can remember back to the week of WrestleMania 31. Brock Lesnar went to ESPN where he made his announcement. He was going to be staying with WWE instead of going to UFC, which was a big story at the time. A lot of people thought he was going in, doing the job to Roman Reigns, and then we would never see him again. He would go fight against some big opponent for UFC and make tons of money, where he would finally hang it up. But I think Brock Lesnar is looking at the future, seeing that maybe if he goes to UFC, maybe he's able to get one more fight before it's exposed that his body is beaten down and is not to a UFC pace anymore. Brock decided to stay, where he wrestles a few times, makes a few appearances, makes a big time check from Vince McMahon, and all was done. Today he was on there and he was asked about Dana White saying that professional wrestling is fake. He basically said that wrestling is fake. Everybody knows that. But, Dana White and Vince McMahon both basically do the same job promoting fights. He feels that, Vince McMahon has been in the game longer, and he just is going to be able to do it. I think this all got kicked off by an employee of ESPN, a former employee of Vince McMahon and WWE, none other than the coach, Jonathan Coachman, an ESPN, I guess you can say he's a Sports Center anchor is what his title is. I think it was him thinking out of the box, basically saying that, ESPN needs to be covering SummerSlam. They need to be a part of the show. I think there was a little thing that last year he was trying to get this off the grounds, especially with ESPN, having LA locations where they cover the Clippers, where they cover the Dodgers, the Angels. LA is a big sports town, and they have their own Sports Center, which is kicked off on the late show because basically it just works out better to be working on that time slot. And there's a lot of the ESPN personalities that are there. It ends up being that it wasn't off the ground, but this year we saw a big change with ESPN doing coverage to WrestleMania 31. They showed Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental Championship. They showed John Cena winning the United States Championship. They showed Seth Rollins cashing in and winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, where they had to explain what the Money in the Bank briefcase was, which was a little bit weird, but I think they wanted to get the point over that somebody beat Brock Lesnar, and this was a big deal. But ESPN is going to be doing live coverage from Barclays Center, with Jonathan Coachman being there Sunday morning from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. They're going to be doing stories that pop up throughout the day. Probably talking to Brock, probably talking to Undertaker, John Cena, The Miz. A lot of the big time stars at WWE that do a lot of media will probably be getting interviewed, talking about how big of a show this is. And then right before the show starts from 6 to 7, they'll be doing another update. I'm sure after the show is over, we're going to be getting a wrap-up as well as some coverage to get there. It's a little bit funny for ESPN to be jumping on board with WWE. I know that SmackDown and Monday Night Raw do bring a lot of ratings, but when the deal was up for them to sign a television deal, Vince McMahon was talking up about basically getting big time television rights for Monday Night Raw and for SmackDown. There was rumors that Fox Sports 1, ESPN, USA, Spike TV, lots of these big television networks would be bidding to try and bring Raw in, to try and get those wrestling ratings that were there. And at the end of the day, they got a little bit of a raise, but there was no ESPN money because ESPN didn't bid. I guess it costs less to get the coverage of it. Maybe WWE even gives them the tapes, just saying, hey, if you get a chance, put these on. Maybe they don't have to pay for the coverage, but there's talk about maybe ESPN going after UFC when their deal comes up. So they're trying to bridge out. They're trying to get a lot of ratings. They're trying to get more people caring about ESPN, who is the number one name in sports. But the thing is, with so many people cutting the cord of cable, there's less money out there for them to be making when it all comes down to it. But WWE getting covered by ESPN is a big deal. So big thanks to Jonathan Coachman. And hopefully they even find a way to get this guy worked into being on the show.